For the record, today is Sunday, November 7th, 2010. The location of the interview is Western Connecticut State University. The name of the interviewer is Tim Randall, and the name of the interviewee is
LaDelfa.
And date of birth?
August 26, 1987.
And the names of the people in the room are Dr. Christie, who is in charge of the communication department, Dr. Barone, the video department, and the Western Connecticut State University film crew. And the War and Branch Service?
United States Army.
In your rank?
Sergeant E5.
And where did you serve?
Served in Iraq, Operation Iraqi Freedom, from November 2007 to February 2009.
Were you drafted or did you get enlisted?
I enlisted right after high school.
Where were you living at the time?
I was living in Ridgefield, Connecticut. Just graduated from Ridgefield High. Went right off about a month after graduation.
Why did you decide to join?
It's just something I always was interested in as a kid, and especially after 9/11, that's when I really decided that's what I wanted to do. I felt it was my duty as a citizen in the United States, and that's what I thought was the best course of action. Serve my country.
And did you pick the service branch you joined?
Yes, picked Army.
How was your first day in service? Do you remember?
First day?
Yep.
It's kind of a blur now, but I remember bits and pieces here and there. It was pretty. It was a culture shock, to say the least. Just being screamed at, tell you where to stand, how to stand, where to go, how to get there, what to eat, you name it. They control your life, so it was a big change.
And how did it feel to be doing all that?
It was definitely, it was out of the ordinary. I mean, it was, like I said, just a shock. I liked doing it. I was scared at first, I was nervous because it's all new, but it was definitely interesting.
How was your boot camp experiences and where was it held?
Boot camp for me was at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. It was actually basic training and my specialized skill training all combined into one. It's called OSET, One Station Unit Training. It was 16 weeks at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Basically 16 weeks straight through a basic training. It was pretty rough. It was a lot of, the standard getting yelled at stuff, push-ups, and everything you probably see on TV. But it was also a lot of getting to know people, working in groups, and dealing with people you really never thought you would be dealing with. People from all over the country, all over the world. It was a great, experience. It was tough, but it was worthwhile.
Do you remember the instructors that you had when you were there?
I remember every single one of their names. You want them?
Sure.
There was, of course, now I'm going to go blank, but it was Sergeant Wilkins, Drill Sergeant Wilkins, Drill Sergeant Waitsmore, Drill Sergeant Roberts, Drill Sergeant Rogers, Drill Sergeant, I can't remember his name now, but yeah, those are the guys. Drill Sergeant Little. Drill Sergeant Little.
And how did you get through the experiences when you were there?
How did I get through them? Mm-hmm. You just got to do it. You don't really have a choice. Either you're going to do it or you're going to be the guy who doesn't do it. And you don't want to be the guy who can't do it. So you kind of just get motivated from the people around you. And you just motivated enough to not be that guy. To just get through and do everything that's asked of you.
Which wars did you serve when you were enrolled?
Just served in Operation Iraqi Freedom.
Where did you go when you were doing that?
We deployed to Tikrit, Iraq, which is Saddam Hussein's hometown. We were in the northern section of Iraq, mostly Mosul. We moved around from Mosul to Tikrit. We were also in Kirkuk, mostly all north of Baghdad. My job was, I'm a combat engineer, or I was a combat engineer. our job was primarily to do route clearance missions, which consisted of driving up and down roads, main supply routes, alternate supply routes, whatever roads they deemed necessary to clear for roadside bombs, improvised explosive devices, IEDs. Clear the route, make sure it's safe for friendlies and the Iraqi civilians. It was that find the bombs on the side of the road, disarm them with our robots or our hands, whatever we deem necessary. That's it. Took care of it.
Do you remember arriving and how it felt and what it was like?
Again, it was just another culture shock. Like, you don't really believe you're there when you get there. It's just you're in the States a few hours before, and then next thing you know, you're getting dropped off in Kuwait in the staging area, and just desert, camels running around. It's definitely a shock.
And how was a typical day there? What was it like?
Typical day was mission every single day, sometimes twice a day, 3 times a day, depending on what happened. Normally we just, get up. If we were on a day shift, we'd get up, go out to our staging area where our vehicles were, get a safety brief, a mission brief, load up our trucks with ammo, get all of our supplies ready, check everything, go out on mission, drive around for about between 5 to 8 hours. We've had missions last up to about 14 hours though, and that's it. Just scanning the roads with your eyes, looking for anything out of the ordinary.
And what was it like when you were under fire?
Under fire it's a crazy feeling. You got someone shooting at you, and that they're trying to kill you, but you're not going to let it happen. You're going to kill them before you do. It's kill or be killed. So it's definitely a eye-opening experience, to say the least.
How many casualties were in your unit?
Luckily, we only lost 1 due to a freak accident. All the guys who went out on mission every day, thank God for our vehicles. We had special mine-protected vehicles that were made to take explosive blasts from underneath. Those vehicles saved our lives. If we had been in Humvees or something like that, with the stuff that we saw and the stuff that detonated on our trucks, would have been a lot of casualties. So luckily, only 1.
What was your most memorable experience when you were there?
Memorable experience. Well, I try not to remember a lot of them, but don't really have a whole lot of. There's some good ones and there's some bad ones, but probably my most memorable would be one of the IED incidents that happened when I was driving. I was actually gunning, in a truck at night. We're on our way back to our base, our FOB, forward operating base. It was late, it was probably 2 o'clock in the morning. It was in August sometime, I don't remember. And we just gone through, we were in the middle of an Iraqi police checkpoint. There was no one around, but on the way down, there was people there. No one on the way back though, so it was a little iffy. Kept rolling because we were almost home, just want to get back and get some sleep. And IED went off to the left of my vehicle as I just got down from the gunner's hatch up top to get a drink, a Gatorade. I was thirsty. Luckily, I was on my way back up when it exploded, tossed me inside the vehicle, hit my head on the window, got a slight concussion, completely killed our vehicle. Tires blown out, shrapnel sent through the engine block, just glass up top in the gunner's hatch was shattered. So that was pretty memorable. That was one that really sits with me to this day.
With your family, how were you able to stay in touch with them?
Luckily, we did have, we had some computer centers and some phones that were available to call. We didn't get to use them a whole lot just because even if they were available with our schedule being constant 24 hours out one way or another, just probably it was never matched up with our time and back home. So it was very rarely you did get to make a call. When you did, it was nice, but did have the MWR, they called it, to use the internet and stay in contact that way.
And when you were serving, how was the food that you ate there?
The food was great at first. You know, food was outrageous. I was loving it. It was better than the food we got back in the States, to be honest with you. You know, but then you realize it's the same thing. Like the menu is the same menu. Every day you knew what was on the menu. And it got real difficult to find something that you wanted to eat at that point. I mean, you were happy to eat, but you got to be real creative with what you were making there. You know, but it was, overall, food wasn't bad. Can't complain.
Did you have a lot of supplies when you were there?
Supplies as far as?
Like, just like things of your own or things they gave you?
Oh yeah, I mean, supplies were readily available. Well, we wish they would be. Supply system's a little messed up in the military, as a lot of things are. But yeah, we had what we needed for the most part, the essential stuff. Could always use more, but we had what we needed to get the job done.
Did you ever feel like you were under pressure or had any stress when you were there?
Every single second of my life.
Did you have like something special, like an item or something?
Yeah, I kept in my my right breast pocket, in a Ziploc bag. I had, you know, a few pictures of my family, girlfriend at the time. That's another story. I had some prayer cards, just like little things people sent me. I pretty much kept it all double bagged in a Ziploc bag in my right breast pocket of my uniform. And yeah, I think I had rosaries. I had like an angel coin, just little things people give you. I actually kept the angel coin on my dog tags. But yeah, I had pictures and stuff I carried with me, little mementos and stuff.
And how were you guys able to entertain yourselves when you were over there?
Just cracking jokes on one another, just messing around when we could mess around. Just got to keep things light, you know. If you can't joke and laugh about stuff, you're gonna be miserable. Like, you gotta laugh at death. You know, as messed up as it is, make jokes about everyday things. Just try to lighten the mood as much as you can. When we weren't on mission, we try to just, you know, play some basketball if we could. Play a little Xbox or something like that. Get on there, play some Xbox. And I mean, like I said, we didn't have a whole lot of downtime. So I know personally, I would play some basketball once in a while, or just watch a DVD on my laptop and go to bed. That was pretty much it. Go to the gym. That was another thing.
And did you guys see any professional entertainers when you were serving?
They came over. I didn't get to see any personally, but they were there. I think we had the Redskins cheerleaders showed up. We had some MMA fighters. I think Tito Ortiz was there. I mean, there was a few people that came through. I never got to see him. Dane Cook was there. Yeah, like I said, I never got to see him. I just heard about it.
When you were on leave, what did you do, or where did you go?
When I was on leave, I just went right home to Ridgefield, Connecticut. Still had my mother was there at the time. Just stayed there because that's where the family was for the most part. Just had a nice little get together, hung around the house, kind of laid low. Didn't really do a whole lot. Just enjoyed being home. Just never really took trips anywhere or anything like that.
When you were in service, did you travel to a lot of places?
Not really. I would take little trips on the weekends and stuff when I could to go see some friends or go do something on the weekends. For instance, we were at Fort Hood, Texas. We were stationed, so Austin was only like 45 minutes to an hour away, so we'd go down there on the weekends, get away from the whole Army lifestyle for a little bit, go to San Antonio, Dallas, you know, places that were still a little close, but outside the military life, you know. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Didn't really go a lot.
And during the service, do you remember any funny moments or unusual pranks that occurred?
Definitely a lot of pranks, probably more than I can remember. I know we stacked sandbags in front of our lieutenant's door so he couldn't get out in the morning. He'd kill me if he heard me tell him that. Wrap tape around his whole room, entire room. So, you know, lock the door again. Take the hinges. They give us little rooms. Basically, they call them a CHU, Combat Housing Unit. It's basically like a little mini metal trailer, 2 people inside of it. We were lucky enough to have those. So the door on it, we'd take the pins out of the door on the hinges, so when they go to open the door, the whole door would fall off. Just little things like that, you know, try to keep the laughter going. You know, some people got a little upset about it, but, you know, they got over it.
When you were there, did you take any photos, or do you have photographs from there?
Oh, absolutely. I have thousands of photos. Thousands.
A lot of people, were there people in the photos and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. I don't have a whole lot of pictures of myself. I mean, I'd always say, like, here, take my camera, take a picture of me, because I had none. So it was mostly pictures of all my friends, my platoon, and my squad for the most part. But yeah, got pictures of everything, missions, you name it. So.
And what did you think of the officers and soldiers that you served with?
I loved every single one of them. Well, as far as my platoon, couldn't ask for a better group of guys. I see them as brothers to this day. I know that if any one of them were to call me, I'd do anything I could for them. And likewise, you know, same for them. If I were to call them, they would do anything for me. It's just that brothership you got, the brotherhood you got. It's just something that you can't really explain. Yeah, I love every single one of those guys. You know, they watch my back and I watch theirs in combat, and there's nothing more that you can ask from somebody. You know, it's the biggest thing I think you can do for somebody is to watch your back in a combat situation. That kind of love, I don't think you can really recreate that or reproduce it. So I love every single one of the guys.
Did you bring like a log with you or a personal diary to write in?
You know, I started one. I got to the point I probably had like 5 entries, and I just kind of stopped. I just didn't do it. I should have. I kind of regret not doing it, but I mean, for the most part, I got it all documented, either in videos or pictures. I had the story to go along with it. So, as far as an actual like notebook or a diary, no, never really completed it. Know a lot of guys that did though.
And when you had your last day of service, how was that?
Last day of service, overseas or back in the States?
Both.
Overseas was the best feeling in the world. You know, I guess you could say that about my last day in the Army in general. It was a great feeling. For Iraq, you know, you knew you were coming home. Get to go home and see your family and see all your friends or whatever, loved ones back home. So it was great, you know. Vacate, you know, if you knew party time, you know, you're gonna go out, have some drinks, have some fun when you get back. After 15 months of deployment, that's all you want to do, have some fun. Cut back, cut loose. So that was great. And then the last day of the Army, it was kind of surreal. It was wanting that day to come for a long time. Not that I regret my service in the military at all, because I don't. But it was to the point where I wanted to be out and move on and do some other things with my life, and it was a great feeling. I'll never forget that. But at the same time, it was leaving a lot of friends behind that I knew, but you know, it's time to move on and do other things. I still keep in contact with them all, so it's not like I left them for good.
And what did you do after your service was over?
After my service was up, I just moved back here to Ridgefield. I lived with my aunt My mom was living in Rhode Island, so by the time I got back, she was living out there with her fiance. I just stayed with my aunt for the first 3 months or so, till I saved enough money up and got my stuff together, and then got an apartment here in Danbury, and applied to WestCon, and it's where I've been ever since.
And so you went back to the school, and then do you have a specific job anywhere around here?
Currently unemployed. School paid. The government pays for all my schooling, so I go to school on their dime. They pay tuition, my books. They give me a housing allowance to pay for my rent every month, pay for all my bills. So plus disability I collect. So right now I don't have a full-time job. I don't have a job. No, I've had little small part-time things here and there, but no, I don't.
And so was the education supported by the GI Bill?
Yes, post 9/11 GI Bill, which is really, really great, helping a lot of people out. So.
You mentioned earlier that you had good relationships with the people you served. Did you make a lot of close friendships?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, they're brothers to me to this day. If one of them called me up and said they needed a place to crash there in the area, you bet they're going to be staying at my place. Best friends to the end. I got two really good friends that were in my platoon and squad, both from Massachusetts. That was the weird thing. We had a lot of guys from the Northeast, surprisingly, from like Albany, Syracuse. Had guys from, like I said, my two best buddies were from Massachusetts, one from Springfield, one from Cape Cod. So I still see those guys on occasion. So it was nice, yeah. Definitely made a lot of friends.
Did you join any veterans organizations after that?
I joined the VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars. Also joined on campus the Student Veterans Organization. I'm in the process of completing my, enrollment, or I guess you want to say it, with the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans Association, IAVA. But yeah, that's the only thing I've joined.
And did any of the military experiences influence you're thinking about the war or about the military in general?
Did my experiences influence? Yeah, absolutely. Once you're there in person, really living it, definitely gives you your own point of view on things, that's for sure. Like I said, I don't regret my decision to serve, and I'm not gonna say I am for or against the war, but I did what I had to do, and and I fought for my own reasons, not for what's on CNN and Fox. I fought for the people next to me, and that's all that really mattered when bullets are flying and bombs are blowing up around you. That's how it affected me.
And with the military groups you joined and talking to your friends, have you guys been able to do any reunions, or has any of the groups done any activities?
Definitely have some reunions in the works. Might be going down, see a few of my buddies in Florida next month. Big paintball tournament, so should be fun. We see each other on occasions, the ones that are around that I get to see. We definitely have a big one coming up, hopefully next year in Vegas. So
nice.
Yeah, should be fun.
And how did the service and experience that you had there affect your life after that?
It's had a lot to, it did a lot to affect my life after. Some say, it makes you they noticed I definitely came back a different person, to say the least, in one respect or another. People see it that are close to you, and on top of that, it affects me, how I live day to day, and how I view the world. And I wish it was more negative than positive these days, but it definitely does affect me in the respect that I take little things I mean, I don't take little things for granted. I appreciate things in life because I know I've stared death in the face, and from then on, I mean, you really learn to appreciate life.